So just want to say thanks a lot for following along here. I'll give you a quick little introduction about myself. My name is Cam Lancaster. I am a golf performance coach. I work under the Scott Cook Certified Academy. I work at three different in-person academies, and I host an online academy. You've probably seen it called the 4-week online boot camp, then also the Elite Mastery Academy. Right now, we have about 30 members in the academy, and we're right now accepting some current applications. So I just want to do a really quick video here today and talk about one of my dedicated clients, Mike Johnny, and just a quick case study. Mike has worked with me for about 2 years, and he's seen some pretty incredible results. So let's go right into it. So Mike came to me feeling like he had a lot of potential. He had not fulfilled. He had worked with coaches before and did not see much benefit. He actually even got a little bit worse and decided enough was enough. Mike could see my work online and decided to reach out. So just before we go into Mike's story, here's feedback from my program. Look below in the description for his feedback. So let's just go right about there.
My name is Mike. I've been working with Cam Lancaster and the Lancaster Golf Academy for 2 years now. My game needed a pretty serious overhaul, and when I was looking for an instructor, I did a fair amount of research. I was looking for somebody that was close. I was looking for somebody that had a proven track record, and I was thoroughly impressed with the information that Cam and his team had put out. So I started working with him, and I've loved every second of it. Cam is an extremely skilled instructor, deeply passionate, but I think the thing I appreciate the most is his dedication and communication. When I'm working with him, I feel like I am the only student that he has. And while we've gone through a fairly significant overhaul, I am playing the game with a lot more fun, a lot more confidence, and I'm starting to score better than I probably ever have. So I can't speak highly enough about Cam and his team and the excellent quality instruction that they provide. Do your research, look at some options. You're going to get exceptional value. You're going to get an instructor that is committed to your improvement with terrific communication to back that up. So I can't speak highly enough about the Lancaster Golf Academy and my experience with Cam Lancaster. So look into it and give it a go.
Mike, thank you so much for that testimony. I've been one of the easier clients to work with. So uh, let's kind of go into the statistics of what Mike was doing before. So Mike was shooting in the high 80s to low 90s consistently. He'd have the odd round where he'd peak into the 70s, but it was a lot of the times, he felt like he wasn't reaching that potential that he had. Um, his swing did not look like this. It looked like he should be in the low 80s to high 70s when I saw him. I was kind of confused when he came to me. I said, your swing is really nice. And, so this time in the video, Mike regularly sends me messages like this. So 38 on 9 holes. I need to find a way to find focus for 18 holes. That's something that we're always working on. He's saying his game is seriously on point. And then this was from August 4th, which was about a month ago. Shot an 80 at Dragon's Fire. Dragon's Fire is a course pretty close to home for me, a pretty tough course, probably a good 77 anywhere else. And, something we worked on a lot was the wedges inside 50 yards. So it's nice to see that he's getting some results from there. So his main problem was he was too far in with his club path, and his attack angle was very positive, and it was affecting his swing, chipping, and even putting too. So when you're coming from the inside and you're hitting way up on it, a lot of times it's going to manifest as a big block or a hook, and it's basically the opposite of a slice. A slice is you're going to be too far down on it most likely, and really far across the line. They're basically the same problem, but they're on the opposite ends of the spectrum, right? So what we basically did in the first lesson, and we did this for a lot of lessons after, is we just dialed in these two metrics using TrackMan data with the club path, trying to get it as close to zero as possible. I think for Mike, we got it around 3 degrees was the money number, where it was that easily controllable draw. And then the attack angle, we looked at, okay, what is tour average attack angle with a 7-iron? It's around -4. And if we could get him to -2, then he really started eliminating those hooks, right? So here's a breakdown of what we've done with his swing. So this is from a lesson here. So I use this stick a lot. You can see there's a stick sticking out of the ground there in front of him to basically give him more of an impact feel. And we'll talk about that in a second here. But in the setup, I always look at setup. That's a really important piece of the swing. I wanted him getting a little bit more of a forward shaft lean. And then I got his right hand a little bit more under the club, and that was mainly to stabilize his face angle. You can also see, too, that his feet are aligned a little bit more to the left, and that helped him get his path less in doubt and more across the line, okay? Now moving on to the takeaway here. We worked on some trail wrist stuff here to get his wrist in a bit more of an extended position. And that allowed him to create a bit more of a negative attack angle coming down. So that was step two. And again, just before I keep going here, it's important to remember that when I would give Mike something, we would maybe give him during a lesson maybe 3 to 4 things to work on with his posture, and then it would be one really key factor in his swing, and he would drill it over and over and over again until he started to feel it. Okay, so that is really the easiest way to make a swing change. It's the way I've made swing changes with my own game. It's the way I make it with my high performance guys and players like Mike as well too. So now getting to the top with Mike, Mike really naturally had a nice top position. I think the only thing with Mike in his top position is we just want to make sure that this right knee wasn't stacking too far backwards and his weight wasn't getting trapped in the backside. And again, that relates to that attack angle. He almost felt like he was stacked on top of it the whole way through. You can see his head doesn't really move off the ball too much. I like that he was nice and short. If you've seen my swing on my channel before, I have a bit of a shorter swing, but this was, Mike was pretty good here, just keeping the hands nice and solid and not letting the club loop back too much. So that was basically the gist of the swing stuff that we worked on. There's a couple other frames here. What we also worked on here, don't this yeah right here. This is the image here where I wanted him to feel like this is in one of my other clients here. We used biomechanic markers and basically just feeling like this left knee was ahead of that stick, and then getting this immense amount of forward shaft. And there's another one of my clients here, and he too struggled with that same sort of issue. And we were just getting him really feeling like he's pushing forward off that back foot. Using simple feels like and visuals like Rory McIlroy. He really is good at getting off of that backside. If you look at Rory, he pushes off about anywhere from 4 to 6 inches from with his left hip towards the target from the top position down into impact. Okay. So now you might be wondering, well, I don't have a TrackMan. I don't know what to look for. I mean, my simple advice to you would be to find a TrackMan or any simulator near to you that measures club data, club path, face angle, attack angle. Get your club path and face angle as close to zero as possible, to where you feel like you can shape it both ways easily, and then get the attack angle into the negatives with the irons, ideally between -3 to -5 for all irons, and then getting the attack angle with the driver around zero. Okay. So if I could give you like, okay, it's one thing to say it, but how do you actually work on it? And obviously you want more of an in-depth look on it. I think it's irresponsible to just take my advice at face value and then, that's your lesson. But if we're talking about general concepts here, the easiest way to fix the face angle is fixing your grip. The easiest way to fix your club path is with your alignment and your shoulder positioning at impact, or even before impact, I should say. And then with the attack angle, a lot of it is working on compression drills, getting the weight more forward and holding your wrist in more of your trail wrist in more of an extended position. And if you don't know what any of that means, I'd suggest you book a call. So where we started with Mike, this is just sort of the breakdown of all the things that we went through. So we looked at obviously the TrackMan metrics. I'll just say club path, face angle, attack angle. Now there's an additional 5 metrics that I would go into, and this is more for my high level players, but sometimes I do dip into it with my everyday players. And these are basically consistency metrics. It's something that I learned from Scott Cowks certified. If you don't know who Scott Cowks is, check him out. He's definitely a genius when it comes to the swing. Worked with quite a few PG Tour players. So he talks a lot about the 5 TrackMan imperatives, and basically if you're consistent with those 5 numbers, you're pretty much hitting it like a tour pro. As a pro golfer myself, those are the numbers that I'm constantly checking. Another thing too, we talked about mental process. We talked a lot about mental process because what basically happened is he had technical issues that manifested as a mental issue, and then we had to fix the technique. But on the back end, we had to fix the mental, and that's very common that I see. Like if you have a mental issue, you could grit it out and try your best to just think your way through it, but oftentimes you have to fix the technique and then on the back end fix the mental. So we talked about, when he was going low, how could he maintain it? Stuff like breathing exercises, visualization, a better pre-shot routine, very simplistic stuff. Basically, I was trying to get him to stay in the moment. With his putting, Mike had a bit of an unconventional putting stroke, and I think it was more his putting stroke. So we didn't work a whole lot on stroke remapping, but it's definitely something that I dove into with him. Basically, just try to get his blade released a little bit less, getting his eyes over the ball. I like to let people flow freely with their stroke, but we worked a lot on visual training, like how to use your eyes a lot better. Simple stuff like staring at the hole for 5 seconds, then pulling the eyes back and releasing the blade without any thought. And then the main thing, the meat of it was just these practice habits here. Like this is to me, if you can master your practice habits with your putting and your chipping for that matter, then that's going to make you a good putter and chipper. It's not so much the technique, right? You look at a lot of players in the 50s, 60s making a lot of putts and had that, kind of an ugly looking pop stroke. Uh, but they probably putted from sun up till sundown and had really good habits. So he started using my customized practice plan, up and down training, randomized target practice. That stuff that is basically getting him to play more situational type golf. Like, how can your practice actually relate to what you're doing on course? I never, ever, ever see everyday golfers working in this manner. Now, just a quick little story. I got to play alongside guys like Corey Connors, Mackenzie Hughes growing up in these big Canadian junior events. And I would always see them on Team Canada, and Team Canada would be together and they'd be working on the situational type practice. I pretty much only practice that way myself now. And I can comfortably say that my statistics almost mirror what a PGA Tour player would, getting there with my swing. And that's how I would, any elite player that I work with guys on the Asian tour, guys on the on mini tours, ladies on some development tours as well too, and then a lot of NCAA players. This is what I'm really focusing on with them because they have to be ready when it comes to tournament time and being able to just put your ball in the hole. Like there is an art to putting your ball in the hole, and a lot of people, a lot of golfers really don't understand, right? It's nice to be able to hit the same shot 10 times in a row to the same target, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot when it goes to the golf, when it comes to the golf course, right? So as you saw in one of those images there, we use biomechanic markers during our lessons. So, you know, little stuff like how does your left elbow relate to your face angle, how does your left knee relate to getting more on top of it, so isolating one joint or muscle and then using that to affect the ball flight. Okay. Then chipping, a lot of on course work. Spot chipping is a big one. More, a lot like the visual exercises where you're staring at a spot for 5 seconds, pulling the eyes back and just trying to hit that spot. And then simple technique add-ons. I mean, I think the simplest thing I could say to fix your chipping would be getting the weight back. The weight forward, more towards the target, the ball position way back with a 60 degree, and then working on not letting your wrist snap, right? There's a lot of debate around chipping and what you should and shouldn't do. I mean, I was lucky to be mentored by a guy named Ralph Bauer for, I believe, 6 years, somewhere in that range. And he taught me the simplistic stuff with chipping that he uses for all of his PGA Tour players. And, if you look at the way Jason Day chips very similarly to that. And you don't have to have basically risky chipping methods where you're having to use a lot of wrist action. And, it might be a bit controversial. There might be some people out there that say, well, this guy uses a lot of wrist motion. This guy doesn't. Phil Mickelson, the hinge and hold. To me, the easiest way to shoot lower scores is stabilize your wrists, hands down, right, in any part of the game. And then fitness. Mike came and saw me in person at one of my TrackMan academies. We worked on a mobility series to address body limitations. When you sign up with one of my programs, whether it's online or in person, you're going to get a very detailed look into what my daily fitness routine is. And I was lucky to be able to work with Scotty Scheffler's company Golf Forever on creating a lot of different physical movement patterns that relate to building fast twitch muscle fiber, which is the one of the most important things for creating more distance. And then on top of that, how do you stabilize the body? How do you mobilize the body? Those are just the three kind of tipping points for getting your golf fitness better. And the common thing I get when someone comes to see me for lessons and online too is, well, I want to work on my swing, my fitness is fine. To be honest, most times your fitness isn't fine. Even I've had guys come and see me that are in peak physical shape, athletes from other sports, and they can't move the club correctly because their body isn't built that way. I like to use the analogy of what Michael Jordan did when he transitioned into playing into baseball. Michael Jordan was one of the best athletes in the world, but he took somewhere around 9 months to just change his body into a baseball body, right? So, you know, you have to be able to have mobile hips. You have to be really mobile with your obliques. You have to be able to have fast twitch muscle fiber in the important parts of your body, and that's really what my fitness program dives into. And the reason I was so obsessed with the fitness stuff is because it comes from my own journey. Like for years, my club head speed would max out at like 105 miles an hour, and I was a scratch golfer. And I've been able to put on 7 miles an hour of club head speed, which equates to it for every mile an hour club head speed, it's about 3 yards. And I actually got straighter doing this. And I did every, speed hack in the world, like, lift the front foot up, faster backswing, longer backswing, and speed sticks are great, and they definitely have their purpose. But at the end of the day, I use the saying that I learned from my years of training as a fitness coach and health coach. You can't fire a cannon from a canoe, right? So if your canoe, which is your body, is not stable and is not able to fire, you can't fire your cannon, right? And if anything, I've actually seen some people who have tried all the speed stick stuff and didn't have the physical fitness dialed in, and they got slower and they got injured. So there's an important piece about, you got, if you want to be a better player, you got to get in the gym. I've even had some of my clients, one of my online members who's in his 70s, he gets in the gym every day, and just by getting in the gym and getting more mobile, for him, mobility was his big issue. He was able to really go above and beyond. So anyways, that's enough about fitness. So you know, I think just some motivation for you. It's possible to make these changes. Mike didn't. He came to me as a non-believer. Uh, shouldn't even say non-believer. Mike had been stuck in his ways for a little bit, and had been doing things a certain way for a long, long time. And he was able to really flip it and use my methods and take it to a new level. So it takes commitment. It takes a detailed practice plan that addresses the cancers in your game. Butch, the reason I put Butch Harmon there is that's how I really coach. Is like, if I'm your doctor and you're my patient, you come to me with a sore knee and cancer. I don't really give a shit about your sore knee. I care about your cancer. And to me, every golfer is going to have 2 to 3 to 4 cancers in their game. And that's what I'm using my discerning eye to look for. Yeah, it'd be nice if we could swing like Tiger Woods or Adam Scott, but it's probably not realistic for 98% of golfers. But what we can do is manage our cancers, keep eliminating them, do swing surgery, do short game surgery, mind surgery, and eventually pull them out. So, me and Mike at times had to have tough conversations. Yeah, I love Mike. Like, he's probably one of my best clients that I've ever worked with, because A, he's just such a nice guy, and B, he's willing to take feedback, right? So that's another thing too, is like, I've beat my head against a wall working with certain clients because they're not willing to take feedback. And hey, I'm one to talk. Like, when my two brothers, they coach me, both guys that played in the NCAA Division 1, and at times I can be really stubborn too, so I get it. Every golfer has a real kind of a feeling as to what they want and what they think they're good at. But at the end of the day, it takes a humble approach, and that's what I loved about Mike, is he was willing to say, "Cam, you take the lead, and I'm going to listen." And the big thing was on course application. So I actually went out at one point and played with Mike. Now, as an online player, you can't do this, an online academy student, but I've had people send me a full round with a tripod. They go out in the evening and play 9 holes, and they send me all their swing footage, and I'm able to really diagnose things. So that's another little aspect of the mentorship. So what I'll say in closing, it's possible for you as well. I've worked with thousands of golfers in person, online, to achieve the same thing also. I've seen quite a few achieve extraordinary results like Mike. I've also seen some fall short, and a lot of it is because they're not willing to stick to the detailed practice plan, right? And they're not willing to listen to, here's what you do on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No days off, even if you can only put in 10 minutes a day to work on the mental game or do swings into the mirror. It's stuff like that where I'm going to build you a customized practice plan. So golf is always top of mind, but it's always fresh and it's always fun, right? Because at the end of the day, this is a game. We have to have fun. I know I probably sound very serious in the way I come across, but I want you to, be able to have fun as you improve. Okay. Because, it's funny. It's like what Bob Rotella says, the famous golf psychologist. A lot of golfers, they obsess about the swing. They get Golf Digest magazine. They look at, YouTube for inspiration on their swing. They look at Instagram. They watch the PGA Tour. They love golf, but when they actually start playing golf, they have a terrible time. And I don't want you to have a terrible time, even through the bad golf, because there will be bad golf when you work on your game. There's going to be bad golf if you don't work on your game, but at least you're getting better, and you're getting better, and you're gaining more awareness around what you're working towards. I'm not interested in you coming to me for 10 years for lessons, for 1,000 lessons. I would rather you do my month program, 3 month program, or 6 month program. And then for the next 5 to 10 years, you tell everyone that you work with, and you're playing the best golf of your life, and you can coach yourself, right? To me, I want my players to be self-sustainable. I'd rather a player message me 5 years from now and say, I can coach myself through any scenario, as opposed to trying to come and see me for lessons, right? So, if you're curious, please book a call. It's non-obligatory, free. I'd like to hear more about your journey. If you've gotten this far, thank you so much for listening. Let me know if you have any questions or leave a comment below, or you can message me. Easiest way to message me is through my Instagram at Lancaster Golf Performance. If you're not on Instagram, my email is lancastergolfacademy@gmail.com.